Hey friends, and welcome back. My name's Chrissy and this is Stronger Every Day. So today we are going to talk about, are you lukewarm or are you all in for God? And I think a lot of Christians, and I don't mean Christians that don't go to church on Sundays. I'm not talking about those. I think sometimes we think, well, those are those people that just go on Easter and Christmas. I think anyway, those are the ones that just go on Easter and Christmas. That's not who I'm talking about, although that would fall in this category. I'm talking about ones who are typically have their tushes in the church pews every Sunday or Saturday, Wednesday, Tuesday, whatever day you worship. I want to read Revelations 3, I think it's 15 through 16. I know all the things you do, that you are neither hot nor cold. I wish that you were one or the other. But since you are like lukewarm water, neither hot nor cold, I will spit you out of my mouth. You're not on fire for God, but you're not hostile either, right? You're not anti-God. You love God. You believe in God, maybe even. But you got things to do, right? You have, let's just say you work 40, 50 hours a week, and then getting up, getting ready, getting to there, and getting home. Let's add another 10 hours onto that. So let's say 50 to 60 hours a week. And then your kid has baseball. And then you've got family gatherings, family birthdays, family functions, family holidays, vacations. You're in a soccer league, or you're in a bowling league, or you're in a, whatever. You volunteer for a different agency in your community to help out. You got things to do. You just really don't have time for this church thing, and I love God, but I really don't have time to read or study or worship or listen to praise and worship music. I just don't have time for that. Not that I don't love God. Friends, it is. It is. It's that you have decided that all these worldly things are more important. And I can put myself in that exact situation, because that's who I was pre 2 years ago. Is that I love the Lord, and we went to church some. We went through periods. So sometimes we'd be there, every time the doors are open, and then we would fall off for 6 months, and then we would do it again, and then we would fall off, and then we would watch a church from my hometown. We did that for a couple of years, and then things kind of changed, and I got tired of looking back in my life and realizing that God was the only person who has stood by my side through every single thing that I've been through, both good and bad, and continued to stand by my side. But yet I continued to choose things and people over Him. Most of those people weren't even in my life anymore. And that's when I decided to get serious. I've had the devil on one side, telling me all the things that have been detrimental to me and have propelled my depression and anxiety for the past 27 plus years. And then I've had God right here saying, but I love you. You're my child. I love you. I'm right here holding you. And then I would still choose to go the other way. And I got to thinking one day of, how would I feel if that was me? How would I feel? How would you feel if you were being the best friend, the best version, completely selfless friend that you could be to someone, and every single time there was a decision to make, they chose Good Time Charlie? How long would you stay beside them? A week, a month, a year, maybe a couple years? Would you stay beside them 27 and a half years in my case, like God did? And something about that just hit me, that it wasn't intentional. Our pastor talked about kind of being in a boat, and you were driving hard to God, and then you just kind of got in neutral, and then you just kind of went with the waves, and you slowly drifted away. It wasn't necessarily that it was intentional, but it was all of a sudden that I have so much going on. I'm so busy. What do we say every time we talk about, oh, I'm busy. I've got so much going on, that we're too busy to even have time for the Lord. And without him, none of us would even be here. And that struck a chord with me and made me really stop and think on some things. Isaiah 29:13 says, the Lord says, these people come near to me with their mouth and honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. Their worship of me is based on merely human rules, and they have been taught. Ouch. I don't want God thinking that about me. I don't want him saying that about me. I repented that day and cried. I bawled for days. That without really knowing that I was doing it, I was choosing everything and everyone over God. And I guess now maybe some people might think, well, you're a little boring now. And I'm fine with that. Because you know who I'm not boring to? God. He looks down, and it took me years to learn this. Years, 29 to be exact. To know that he looks down and says, I love you, Chrissy. You're my child and I love you. I love you today just as I loved you yesterday and the year before and the year before, and I'm going to love you still. You're going to make mistakes, and I know that, but I love you. And it's not that I didn't believe God loved me, but I always felt like he loved everybody else a little more than me. And now I know that that's a lie from the devil, that he does love me. We think about if anyone in our lives should have that all-in kind of love. If there's any person in our life that deserves that all-in, right? I'm all in for you. Your spouse is a second. Your kids and your spouse, but God is number one. God is absolutely number one. And when we get so busy, you know, we did a video about comparison and you know, you need to work harder and work longer and get a second and third job, and you need to, you know, keep up and have all these things. That's the devil's plot, right? America is so spoiled, just in all the things that we think we need to survive, when in reality, I think a lot of us would get a good dose of reality and a good dose of realism if we ever went to maybe a second or third world country and watched their standard of living for even a day. We're blessed, friends, and there's different stages, I guess, of that. You know, you can't compare really the life of a trillionaire to the life of someone who struggles every single day of whether or not they're going to be able to eat that day, or whether they're going to be able to keep the electric or the water on. There's differences in all of our society. We all have different levels, but I tell you, some of the people that I've found rely hard on God the most are the ones that seem to the naked eye to have more to struggle with. And I feel like for us, we had a definite time of that where God was saying, I need you to rely all in on me. This needs to be about all me. This channel is a good example, because Chrissy could have never done this, but God can. And I need him to be in charge of it, because for 27.5 years, I was in charge of my own life, and that was in shambles. So when I finally released that and said, God, I can't do this. You know, you're going to have to help me. And there have been many of those conversations, but things changed that day. June of 2022 things changed forever for me that day. And it was because I have that all in for God, that all in. And are there days that I don't crack my Bible? Yes. There's some days that life is just so hard that the only thing I can sometimes manage to say is Jesus. And I'm usually fighting that through fear, tears, anger, sadness, being scared, being horrified. But I know who holds my future. I don't know why certain things happen. Sometimes we're never going to know. I don't know why I struggled with depression for 27.5 years until June of 2022, when God said, The dogs are out there with Nick, so apparently somebody's wanting to get in. But God said, I want you to help people that are struggling with what you're going through. Did God give me depression and anxiety for 27.5 years? I don't believe he did that, but I know that he didn't lift it for a reason. And I've told you, I've said this before, that I have a sticky note in my Bible and I keep it on the front page that says, God has something prepared for me, but he's preparing me for it. And I'll tell you what, sometimes I'm stubborn. You know, people in the Bible didn't get things quick, fast, in a hurry. They were lost in the wilderness for 40 years. Sometimes it isn't. You know, we want this instant, we're in this instant world. Everything's instant. And sometimes it isn't that way. And I've said this before, no relationship is going to last if we don't nourish it. If you think about some of the friends you had from the past that are no longer there, life and different things have come in between, but if that relationship was really meant to be, you would still be actively nourishing that relationship, right? Those people would still be in your life. I've also said before that God's not a genie in a bottle. We just can't go and rub on the bottle when we need God and expect him just to pop out and say, okay, I'm here. What can I help you with? Oh, you're in a bad spot. Let me help you. Do you enjoy that when people call you, when you have those people that only call you when they need something? They never call to see how you're doing, or is there anything you need? Can I help you with anything? They only call when they want you. Do you enjoy that? No. And I'm not saying, I'm not comparing God to us, but I'm trying to get us on a level of understanding of what it must feel like to some level of God when the only time out of his own children's mouth, people that say they're Christian, the only time he hears from them after 6 months or 6 years is when there's a tragedy, and all of a sudden, well, where's God? Well, he's been with you the whole time. You know, I hear that a lot about different tragedies that happen all over the world. Where's God? He's right there. We keep trying to remove him out of everything that we have, and he's never left our side, but he's still right there. He's right where he was when his son was crucified and tortured and spit on and beaten and horrible things that happened to him. He's right there, right where his son was. I don't know why bad things happen. I don't know why, you know, we ruined this world in Genesis. We didn't even get it through a chapter of the Bible. And you know, we have to reap what we sow, and sometimes it's not reaping what we personally sowed, it's reaping what this world has sowed. There's evil in this world, and we have to deal with that. God doesn't prevent every possible tragedy. There's things that go on, and why they're allowed, we'll know that one day, but maybe not right today. So I hope this video helps. I hope you'll take some time and think about being an all-in Christian for God. If friends, I end every video this way. It's always my heart and hope that you feel this. God loves you. I love you. Your family, your friends love you, and we need you here. We'll see you in the next one, friends. Bye.